Welcome to the Two Beasts podcast, where best friends Chris and Ollie try and figure out this complicated thing we call life.
On this special episode of the Two Beasts podcast, we're super excited to introduce you to Jonny Shapland. Jonny had a safe and established career as an aircraft engineer in the British Royal Navy before risking it all to launch his own fitness brand, Shred Rope. Since then, he's carved a beautiful life on his own terms with a flourishing e-commerce brand and a rapidly growing YouTube channel that went from just a few hundred subscribers to over 16,000 within a few weeks. Today, he's here in the Two Beasts podcast studio to give us all the secrets on how we can create this success for ourselves. We hope you enjoy this very special episode of the podcast. Let's get into it.
We're live. This is the pod, mate. Welcome to it.
Thank you.
How's it
Thanks for
going?
having me.
Yeah,
it's
so
going well.
what I'm going to do is I would have done a little intro beforehand, so we
Okay,
don't need
cool.
to introduce you. People already know who you are.
Ah, sick.
They know what you're about.
Very professional.
That said, why don't you start by just telling us who you are and giving yourself your own little introduction?
My own little introduction. Which camera should I look at?
So
I'll
that's
just
the
talk to
one.
you.
That's the one that's looking at you,
Yeah.
and then you've got the wide frame, which is the bottom one. But
Okay,
feel free to
sweet.
talk to whichever one you want.
Wow, I'm Jonny Shapland. I'm 24. I'm from Cornwall. I'm ex-Royal Navy helicopter engineer. Now e-commerce brand owner / YouTuber. But at the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
We
And
caught you at the right time, some would say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming all the way down here from wherever it is. You're from Penzance?
Yeah, from Penzance. Yeah.
That's a big old trek.
Yeah, it was like 90 miles, 2-hour drive.
Yeah, so you worked on helicopters, right?
Yeah.
And then you recently left in the last 6 months or so to pursue your own entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I feel like you're going to predict what I'm about to say here because you already laughed.
Yeah.
A lot of people will work on their side hustles with their full-time job until it gets stable enough so that they can make the transition.
Yeah.
It seems to me like you said, fuck that. I'm just going to
Jumped straight into the deep end. Yeah. You went, screw the paddling, Paul. I'm going straight in the Olympic one, man. You dived straight in.
Nah, to be fair, I had been doing it for years. So Shred Rope I started in 2020. And so although it wasn't like majorly profitable, I knew that the business model worked. So e-com was my goal to leave to pay my bills. And then YouTube, I just had like a gut feeling that I could make it work. And I'd been doing that since the end of 2021. So I had like a whole year of posting. And I was there like, when I actually was consistent at the start of 2022, I had a little bit of traction. And then I was there like, maybe this is it. So it got to a point where I, in my promotion scheme for my work, it was like, right, every time you get promoted, you give away 2 years. So that basically means you have like a return of service. So you have to then stay for another 2 years. And I was at that crossroads where I was like, right, so either I accept my next promotion and then have another like 3 years with the training and everything, or so I'll be like 28 by the time it's done, or do I just like pull the pin now at 23, give myself 12 months notice, leave at 24 and then just try it. Yeah. So like it does seem, so like out externally it would seem like I just
So how long were you in the Navy for?
So I joined in 2017, so just almost 6 years. Yeah. But it's
like 18?
Yeah, 19, yeah.
18, 19,
But I'm August birthday, so...
okay, yeah, join the club, man. It's the best birthday to have.
When are you in August?
8th.
8th, 20th, yeah.
Nice.
So I was literally like basically the youngest.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the oldest over here.
So what was the you had that choice between staying for another few years or go and, chase your e-com dreams.
Yeah.
What was it that swung it for you? Because presumably the Navy job was enjoyable enough, it was safe enough. What was it that made you just say, you know what, between the two, let's go for the dangerous one?
I've just always wanted to do it. Like I've always said, and like it was, I think a lot of people can probably relate to this. It's like that you see other people doing it and you have that ambition and you know a certain role, especially like the position I got myself in the Navy, I was going to be safe. And like, I realised that I could leave, completely and utterly fuck everything up, lose all my savings, and then I'd just join back up.
Yeah, that's
I've lost like 2 years,
Yeah.
but I would literally be in exactly the same position that I was before, except I would have done everything that I wanted to do, and I wouldn't have any regrets. I would just have lessons of failure. and I could just go down that route completely happy, complacent. Like I've always said, if I could, I would have just split myself in half and have half of me go down the military route and then half of me go down the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because especially in the last year, I joined the field gun crew, and it was like I genuinely felt like I had 18 like best friends, and it was really, really difficult to leave.
Yeah, so you've told me a little bit about the field gunning crew before.
Yeah,
I'm kind of familiar with, there's like a event, like a competitions type thing as well.
Yeah.
Ollie obviously hasn't heard of it before. Just explain a little bit what the field gunning is and what it was for you.
Yeah, so it stems back. It's like it's now called like a ceremonial drill, but it's basically a sport. And it stems back from the Boer War, and basically where there was a battle. They're gonna hate me because part of the initiation you have to remember the story, but I can't remember the story exactly.
So it don't matter now. You're a business owner.
Basically, like some of the boys came in on a ship with like these cannons, and they dragged them to a certain area and helped them win a war. So then they came back and they did it as a celebration, and then it became a tradition. And then every year in July up at HMS Collingwood, there's a competition for the like Brickwoods Trophy, and it's like solid silver, huge thing. It means like a lot to a load of people. Field gun, I don't know if you heard about the one that was like televised before. It was like the old school bad boy field gun, but now it's like the softer version, where people don't lose legs and fingers and stuff. But it's still just as like
the field guns like those big, like the huge like, artillery, on wheels,
1,800-pound cannon sort of things. So they're like they're heavy. But you basically, it's like watching the Olympics with like 18 blokes and females running down a track, like lifting kit, slinging it together, like working like ants. But like involved in it, it's such an emotional sport, and because it's like stemmed in the military, there's so many people who have done it for such a long time that if it was just like a first year, you could be a bit immature with it. But for some people, they've been doing it for like 18 years. Their parents did, like the grandparents.
It's like a big traditional thing, right?
Yeah, and it like puts a lot of like I guess camaraderie and like respect on it, and then it just like changes the whole thing. It's not like competing. You feel like you almost like fight it, like. It's crazy, like genuinely it's there's nothing like it. And then when you're competing in those high stakes and like really emotional environment, then the bonds you make with those people, like going through the highs and lows. You train like for like 3 months, and then you've got, the runs last a minute and a half. So it's like, it's so intense, and everyone's got to do their bit just right. But yeah, it's genuinely like something that I just like completely took my heart as soon as I did it. And I did that in my final year before I left. And I was like, no, like I've already made my mind up. Like I've already decided I want to leave.
It's a good way to end though, like ending on that sort of real high, like emotional note.
Yeah, this is the thing. So Cold Rose, they hadn't won for 29 years. So I think it was like 1992, would it? No. Make the math work. We won in 2022. 29 years before that. 29 years before that. I think it was, I don't know.
Whatever year it was. Listen, I'm not going to try to do the maths. There's plenty of fucking people out there on the internet that can do that shit and put it in the comments.
Yeah, you do the maths.
If you're that way inclined and you want to sit there and do the maths.
But basically, they hadn't won in 29 years, and there was this like massive thing where they kept getting closer and closer and closer. And then first year I do it, and like the first year the like 13 boys do it because it was cancelled after COVID. They come in and win, and like some of the boys have been doing it for like 16 years, and it was like, it meant so much to them, and then to have that whole emotional high with them to win it, and then went on to compete in Birmingham. It's like the Birmingham Tattoo, which is like a massive military event at the NEC in front of like 10,000 people, competed against the army and the RAF there, and it was like a spectacle. You kind of felt like a gladiator, and then we smashed them there, and it was like, there's like a moment where the curtains are like closing, you've got like the Scottish band and they're playing the bagpipes, you got the crowd, there's like flames going, and I was there like, I'm leaving this. And like, some of the boys were looking at me, they're like, John, what are you doing? Why are you leaving this, chaps? Like, what?
The closest thing I can think of to that is
the
way we became really close was through a thing called 10 Tours. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
But it's something that happens, I think nationwide. It's school age.
Yeah.
But it happens on Dartmoor. And it's basically, depending on the year, it's either a 35-mile version, a 45-mile version, or a 55-mile version.
Yeah.
And it's basically a navigation event. You have all your kit, you're self-sufficient for 2 days, you have to get around 10 tours and back to the start line.
Right,
that's it.
Yeah.
Camping out and all that stuff. And that was how we were friends before that, but that was how we became like best friends, because I was always the team leader and he was always the lead navigator. Right, so we were always like the two people at the top figuring out the team kind of thing.
Bits, yeah.
And what you were saying about the curtains closing and that kind of moment of camaraderie and all that, the equivalent moment for that, for me, was at the start line, because it's done at the Oakhampton Army Camp. It's like run by the military. And they fucking, the first year, I'll never forget it, there's like 2,000 kids lined up, or whatever it is, like however many fucking people are stupid enough to do this.
Yeah.
And then they set off the big artillery guns, boom, boom, and then 2 helicopters fly over, and then all these kids start running down, screaming, like,
oh, mate, it's like Saving Private Ryan. You're like, this is so sick.
So sick.
It was crazy. And like, obviously, I'm 15 at the time, 16 or whatever it is. I've not seen anything like that before. I'm a filthy civilian anyway. So it's like, this is a madness.
Yeah.
And then what you were saying about I'm leaving this, I remember you can do it from 15 to 19, I think. And we did it all 4 years that we could while we were at school. So year 10, 11, 12, 13, we did it. And we did the 35, 45, and 55 twice. We did have technically one more year we could have entered.
Yeah.
But obviously by then I was off to uni, so I was in Cardiff.
Yeah.
So that year when I was looking at all the, like, it's been such a hard part of my culture that we did 10 tours.
Yeah.
When I didn't do any of the training, and then I was on the other side watching the live view and watching the teams go around and all that. I was gutted, man.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, when you can...
There was a field gun event recently that you attended, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I literally went and watched it and I had the same feeling, like...
Oh, so you sponsored the event?
Yeah,
hey, that's
so
cool.
I went, so not the whole event, just the crew, the Seahawk crew, which is like my old one. And I mean, that was a pretty incredible experience in itself. But again, it was like... the only way I could describe it was like watching obviously someone else runs your position, so that's like what you do. And like just seeing, it was like basically all the same crew. And the only way I could describe it to the lads, I don't know if to say it on the podcast, but it was
it's something about fucking your girlfriend or something, right?
I literally was watching the other lad running my position. I love the guy, like shout out Ben. But I was there like literally like watching someone else fucking miss it. And I was like, this is shit. But because I knew like...
hey, that's how much it means to you, though. That's like some serious dedication, man.
I know.
I like it. That's a good, analogy.
Then at that point, I was there like, but then living off the fact that there's so many, like, again, people who have invested like 15 plus years into this, like breaking their bodies every single year. And then he managed to win again. Like, there's one guy called Jimmy, and he's just like, he's like a hero. He's literally like, in movies, when you have that guy who's given that speech and perfectly knows what to say, when to say it, at the start line, you're ready to like go over the wall. There could be guns there. You're just ready to literally take anything on. And he's one of them. And to have him win, and then he was supposed to, and then we all thought he was going to retire after them. But then because they've never won 2 in a row, they want to go for the 3-peat.
Right.
And
when does that end? Speech. How many in a row do you want to win?
The 3-peat, that'll be it then, I think. But he did a speech in the tent, and there was like a moment where I was thinking, I still wish I was part of it. And then he did like a really nice, like honourable bit to all the people that came up and supported. And it just kind of makes you feel like part of the crew still, even though you're not running. And it was pretty cool because I got to lead out because they won last year. There's like a massive like march past, which is like you have like VIPs in the stand, everyone in the crowd. And then all the crews come out one by one and everyone's like cheering them on before the finals. And I managed to basically lead that out at the front. I was just like in my civic gear, like my little shred rope t-shirt, and I was just clapping.
That's the thing though, because crazy. In a way you did still play a role, right? Because supporting is a role.
Yeah,
and it meant a lot to you when you were doing it, to have people out there. And now you've just changed roles.
Yeah. The fact that you went from being in the team and then being in a position where you could then support the team via, I take it, was it your business or
I mean,
that's like
shred rope,
that's impressive in and of itself, you know, to be able to, like Chris said, like switch to that supporting role.
Yeah.
But being able to do that from your own making in terms of like your own business. It's not like you were working for someone else who then sponsored them. It was your thing, man. Like that's ace.
Yeah.
That's like us going to sponsoring a 10 tours team with this podcast.
That should be the goal.
Yeah, that should be the goal.
If they still run the event, I mean, I don't know what's going on with that at the moment, but it's pretty.
There's loads of like politics and drama apparently with that event, but we stay out of that because the thing is, what happened was the golden age was us. And now it's just pussies.
It peaked.
So now they've got to try and figure out, you know, they keep having teams drop out.
It was like Messi and Ronaldo leaving European
football. What's the point? What's the point? Now they're gone.
Yeah, pointless.
So we mentioned shred rope a couple of times. What is shred rope then?
So shred rope started in lockdown when I basically everyone was just at home, weren't they? And everyone was like, right, how are we going to get our fitness in? And then loads of people was talking about skipping, and I was like, oh, I haven't skipped. Like, used to go to a couple of boxing classes, and the coach was there like, oh, you should skip. It's good for your footwork, good for agility, coordination, all that. So I started skipping in lockdown, and I burnt through like 3 or 4 different cheap ropes. And I was like, oh, I'll go on Amazon. I'll spend like 20 quid on a rope. And then I was like, right, okay, better quality. Right, let me try that. But still broke through. And I was there like, maybe I'm going like, you know, when you sometimes buy something that's a bit more expensive but doesn't last much longer than the cheap one, so it's better off buying like the one that's like 2-3 times more expensive that will last double the time. Yeah. So I was looking at that, and there was a brand that I'm not going to give them clout, so I'm not going to mention them because they're direct competitors. But there was another brand that were like $200, and I was like, no way is this going to be that like value for money. But it's because they're the only ones in the market with that like type of product. And so I basically I was sent home from work. I was on like my promotion course, so I was doing my engineering study. And so because they didn't know what to do with it, and everything I feel like in the private and in the public sector, like everything takes so long because they've got traditions set up. So by the time we had online lectures, it was like 8 weeks. So I had 8 weeks at home where I was like, right, I'm gonna like try and set this up. Let me figure out how to find a manufacturer. So then I bought like a £2,000 Amazon FBA course. It was supposed to be. It was like a business model. You probably heard of it, like where you create a product and then you ship it to Amazon and Amazon fulfills it for you.
Oh yeah.
And so I was going to do that, and then I was like, and then that means I don't have to ship it myself, whatever. But then I decided, after looking at it, I was like, why would I send it to Amazon, let them keep like 30%? Why don't I just order a small amount and then just ship it from my house? And so like I basically went through the whole process, like finding manufacturers, like testing samples, actually designing like the product and like branding, like copyrights, all that. And I basically had 8 weeks to like learn all of that. And then at the end of 8 weeks, I was like, wow, I best place an order now. Like, I actually better do this. And then I actually bottled it for a little bit because it was going to be like 8,000 to invest in the stock because that was the minimum order quantity. Yeah. And I was there like, oh, right, getting back and forth for ages. And I was like, right, Johnny, you keep saying that you want to like do this and you want to do entrepreneurship, you want to start your own business. This is like your perfect opportunity to do it. So that's basically when I started it.
That's crazy. That's such a good origin story too.
Yeah.
For the entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about, because I've looked into ecom before, and the thing that always puts me off, the big sticking point for me, I never took a course, by the way, so maybe they cover this really well in courses. But I mean, first of all, finding the product seems to be the big thing that most people get stuck on.
Yeah.
Which you found. You just had that anyway. So that's a perfect idea.
Yeah, that's literally,
Then what was the process of contacting manufacturers like? Were these people from China? Were they local? How did you communicate with them?
So, yeah, this was obviously 2020. And obviously now the knowledge, you probably know of AliExpress, Alibaba, like Temu, all these like China, but basically it's like a contact for Chinese manufacturers, Chinese companies. Some of them are for like manufacturing, and then some of them will just do like B2B where they'll just sell you products. And so I basically, in the course, said about going on Alibaba, find out what you want, and then just literally just type it in. So if you want to make like yoga mats, just type in yoga mat. And it's just a case of just literally picking a company that looks half decent and then messaging them, sending them. So there's like certain templates that will get you responses, which was something I learned in the course, where you word certain things, you like pretend that you're like the sales representative and your CEO has asked you to find a new product to launch and like find samples and stuff, so you can get like responses quicker because you sound more official rather than like me just trying to nab a sample because you don't want to pay full price at the store. So yeah, you go through there, and then you basically, the biggest thing from what I've learned like so far, and anyone who wants to start ecom, is just message loads of them, and realistically most of them have a very similar like production capability. You want the ones that communicate the best. Like genuinely, some of them where I was speaking to would just like either just not answer your questions, and then when you're trying to make changes and stuff, just not make the changes, and you're there like, but I asked you to do this. And then I ended up just literally going for, obviously you find price as you're trying to make a business, so the biggest profits. And then if you can find, the next most important thing would be obviously quality, but then the next important thing, communication, like 100%. And then you get that by just like talking to like multiple manufacturers and literally just go through the process. like template, send it over to them, chat to them, try to make some changes, see what they say. And like some of them just make your life difficult for no reason. They'll be like, we can't do this. Sort of thing, yeah.
I don't know why the Chinese people sound Indian.
Yeah, I don't know why, that was terrible. Yeah, sorry. Like, it's just every single one is like dear, or like if you're in econ, you just get fed up of this dear, order this, or sir, or dear. It's like every single person calls you dear.
Yeah, I've seen that in Beer Hezza video. He like made a joke about that. I guess that's like common knowledge.
Yeah, literally. Everyone's, and then like, because you've spoken to them once, like the ones who are obviously trying to push for the order will just be like every single day, like, dear, what is it you want from us? Like, what changes can we make? We can offer this price and stuff. But yeah, the finding a manufacturer seems really daunting. And I'm sure for certain products and certain specific things where you're trying to design it fully from scratch would be like a proper mission, and that's finding it. But to sort of find a product, make adjustments to it, make changes to it, and slight customizations is so easy now.
So when you found you had ropes that you thought were cheap shite, so you went on Alibaba or AliExpress, something like that, found, just searched for a load of suppliers for skipping ropes, and then presumably you had some kind of knowledge of what would make those more reinforced based on what the competitors was in the competitors.
Yeah, I literally sent them a picture of the competitors, and I was there like, I want to replicate this style of rope, but I want to do this for my brand and this. I want to provide this that they don't. And I basically wanted to provide as much value as possible. So they provided you like handles and 2 sets of ropes. So I wanted to provide you a thin one for like CrossFit, double unders, and like a medium one for like tricks and stuff. Then a heavy one for like the burns extra calories. And then they didn't give you like a case or anything. And I was like, $200, at least give someone a case to carry all of this. So I wanted to make like a cool, like Dr. Dre Beats? Like this cool, that's what basically inspired me for my case, to do like a case like that. And I just wanted to like provide so much value. But fast forward to Jonny today, I can see why they did that, because they were trying to run a business.
Right.
not
so
like
expensive.
A charity where you're just giving so much value, and it ended up costing me so much that then later on when it came to running ads, I had like next to no profit margins to play with. And obviously because they had, like, let's just say like a $20 product, 10x that $200, they could just pump the ads so much harder than me, and then just completely,
because they had that spare cash, I guess, because their net wasn't nowhere near as high as yours was.
Yeah, because they basically
trying to give them a case and all these extra stuff.
I was like, I'm going to provide so much value for a third of the price, and then I was there like, now I can't compete with ads because I have no value.
I've got no money left. Damn it.
I'm like, guys, I promise you as well.
It's really good. Yeah, trust me. I'm telling you, it's good.
Yeah.
I think we've all done that, because I've done the exact same thing with the videos.
Yeah.
Like especially wedding films as an example, because when I first started doing them, I was like, you know what, these other guys, they're just doing like bish bash bosh, they're just cutting stuff together. I'm gonna do like special effects stuff. I'm gonna put effort into like different transitions and like really make it like I did this thing in one of my first films where like someone was looking at themselves in the mirror, and then I like pushed the camera into the mirror, and then it warped into the next shot. It looked sick.
Yeah.
It took fucking hours.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is,
you learn it, don't you?
Nobody cared. Like, I thought one time I was like, I started doing some editing work for other companies, and obviously they didn't want any of that. They just wanted like bish bash bosh, and the reviews were exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's I forget what book it's called. There is a book about this where people like get really, really obsessed over customer service. The customer's always right, all of that kind of stuff. But actually, the results en masse. Obviously, you still want to provide a good service. You have to provide a good service. It's a competition. It's a matter of competition these days.
Yeah.
But if you do all this extra stuff, it actually doesn't translate to any higher customer satisfaction.
No.
Than just them getting what they want.
There's probably like a point, isn't there? Yeah. Where it's like effort, customer satisfaction, and past that it's like doesn't increase.
Yeah, diminishing
and
returns.
You're like, you're literally,
I think it's also where you're trying to be unique and you're trying to stand out with whatever your product is. So then you think, like you say, trying to do those special effects and be all like, oh yeah, look, I can do, like, my product does this, it's got a case and handles, and yours has got like amazing effects. But then actually you realise that these big companies are doing it for a reason. Like, it doesn't. You don't need to be unique. You just need to like basically hammer it, I think, is the key, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
just pump. Just if it's in the consumer's face all the time, eventually they're gonna do something, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, the more complicated you make it, the more things can go wrong.
And
so, like, let's say you offer a case which you didn't need to offer,
Yeah.
and then there was a problem with the case.
Yeah.
Now you've got a negative review over some shit you didn't even need to add that cost you money. You know, like,
all because he wanted to be Dr. Dre. That was the problem, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I literally had that happen. Right? It was like
Right.
fraying on the side of some of them, and so I had to do like a load of replacement of cases.
And I guess that's then the issue with going down these routes of like Alibaba and AliExpress, is that then the quality is potentially diminished because of the fact that you're trying to, like, you know, get as many as you can for the price and all that sort of stuff.
See, this is something that was a massive like mental barrier for me, in the sense that I just associate with, because we see so many cheap products from China, the quality from China is poor. Whereas actually it's because people get their cheapest quality products for the cheapest price from China to sell here. Whereas you can actually get really high quality products from China, you just pay more. So they put more time into the production. And so this was like a massive thing, mental barrier, where I almost had like a preconception that every sample I was going to get was just going to be garbage.
Yeah,
and
cheap and
like,
crap and like...
Yeah, because you do, don't you? It's like being built into like cheap, like shit from
society's
China.
just built us into it.
Yeah, so actually you can, some of the biggest companies, Apple, is like they manufacture in China.
Yeah, literally says on the back of your phone.
And it's like, one of like the highest quality, arguably, one of the highest quality phones that you can get. And I'm sure Samsung and Google and LG and everything. And it's like, that was like a big thing, that you think that quality is going to be poor from China. But again, a lot of it is when you go for the cheaper products, when you're trying to do. So there's like another thing where ordering samples is such a huge thing. Because you can find one that's like cheaper, but their quality it's like 10 times better. And you're like, how are you doing this?
What's up, you winners? Thank you for listening to the Two Beasts podcast so far. Just to let you know, this podcast is sponsored by Maven Visuals Ltd. Maven Visuals is the go-to for video production here in the southwest of England. So if your business needs fresh, engaging video content that will be sure to bring new sales into your company, then don't hesitate to get in touch at www.mavenvisuals.com. Back to the podcast. So that was the point you were making there. It's frustrating because I've always suspected that it would be that simple, because the biggest sticking point for me is actually reaching out to Chinese suppliers. Yeah. Because I'm always thinking they're not going to speak the same language as me. They know more about this than I do. They deal with more people. There's going to be thousands of people like me just like trying their luck. Yeah, I'm going to get absolutely riddled and just, taken for a fool, basically. Because I'm vulnerable here. But what you're saying makes a ton of sense. It's just like, you just have to do it and
trial and error, isn't it? You're
not going to know until you know.
The more people you do it for, the more, like you say, the more messages you send, eventually one of those is going to work. You'd like to think, so.
I think everything with these, it's not unconventional because those people do it, but it's not like that normal life path. With anything, I guess, business related, entrepreneurship is just pay to learn. Yeah. Pay to play. So you have to order a few samples from people, you have to lose a couple $100, and then you learn, right, okay, so don't do that again. But another thing you've got to realise, and I think a lot of people have that idea that you said, where they're trying to just rinse you of your money, is that there's a bunch of competition on there. So they're looking for custom just as much as you're looking for manufacturers. So it's in their best interest to provide a good service for you, to provide a good product, and not to see you off, basically, to rinse you of your money. Because there's reviews, there's feedback, and they want to build a good reputation on Alibaba, so then obviously they can get more customers. So
I guess
it's always that side.
It is literally, like you said, it's your preconceived notions of scary China people, isn't it? It's kind of racist. We've been told cheap stuff comes from China. Yeah. They don't speak our language. You have this because they're. Why do I think that they are going to screw me out of money? Is it because they're foreign?
I don't know.
Or is it because I guess it's not that. I guess it is and it isn't. I guess it's that when you don't know someone's language and culture, then the fear of the unknown is there, and it's probably a sensible thing. You should be wary.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to tribalism, doesn't it? We just assume people look like us in our culture, safety, and it's just a safety thing.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like
It's
throw
like a survival
yourself into
mechanism.
someone else's tribe, so you don't get killed for some random guy just wandering around like, "Hi guys, what's up?" They're like, "What do you think?"
I'm really curious about you making change, because the other thing I always assumed, or like one of the sticking points with e-commerce for me was, I get that I've heard loads of e-commerce guys talk about, you get your sample and then you test it and you say this is good, and then you go back and you ask them to make changes.
Yeah.
I always assumed that the way that these Chinese manufacturers made their money was through economies of scale, and by being able to get a process wired down so that they could just do that process over and over again very, very cheaply.
Yeah.
And that's where they make all their money.
Yeah.
When I say, oh, can you add, this metal into my skipping rope so that it lasts longer, or whatever the case, whatever it is, this form of rubber, that they would say, well, no, we don't have the facility to do that because this is what we do.
So this is something that you then have to battle with.
Right.
So that's the biggest point, is because you have to make enough changes that you're different in the marketplace, but not enough changes that, one, the manufacturer just basically ends up telling you no. And then that's when it's good to have multiple manufacturers all sort of warm, so you can deal with multiple. Or, I completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You're saying it's difficult.
Yeah. So you either have to have multiple manufacturers, or I've lost my head. What was the question again?
So I was saying that I always, one of my preconceived notions of it was
make changes.
making changes.
Yeah. So they can either tell you no, or you have to like fight with them.
Right.
You literally have to be like, I won't order, and then you just have to do sort of like the game of chicken.
Okay.
And that's where it's important to have multiple manufacturers. But it's about having, what I was going to emphasize on is that if they've got, like you said, these systems down, what's to stop the next person coming in, buying exactly the same thing as you, slapping their own logo on? You then don't stand out. So you need to make sure that you're always pushing for just one thing that you can highlight as a different key point. And I think that was the biggest thing I found. And then it's just down to you, because they will make changes. It would just increase the amount you spent. And so it's like, again, highlighting your profit margins, but what's going to help you sell more. And so one thing I've always learned from my second product is that you don't necessarily need to make loads of changes to the original product. Why don't you add a few digital products that help people and educate them to use the product better? Or why don't you add like an accessory rather than the actual fundamental product? Because the manufacturer that I found was so good, the price was so much better than others, the quality was better, and they just point blank refused to do any changes. And so I was like, right, okay, I can't, because the communication was on point, like the timing, everything, really, really good. It was like all the other keys, all like the other fundamentals I looked for was so much better than all the other manufacturers. I was like, all right, I just won't have it, these customizations. I'd prefer just to take that, and I'll think about another route that I can separate myself from the market.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you recently, Shred Rope has recently launched a new product, right?
Yeah,
in cold water therapy.
Yeah. So cold tubs.
Yeah. So
Which
that's
was
a much bigger product.
Yeah.
Big diversion from skipping ropes.
Yeah, well, it was, so I think, like a little exclusive, I think I'm going to rebrand out of Shred Rope into, because there was like 3 or 4 other massive like jump rope companies that came out, and I kind of think it's been done now. So I think the way I want to go to encompass it in like my own personality and my own personal brand is that I want to do a company that provides products for like entrepreneurs and all the work from home. So obviously skipping is like a really fast, effective way to get a workout in from home.
Especially during COVID, like you noticed that at exactly the right time.
Literally, and you can just blast it out. It's really efficient, and if you hate running, then it's like the perfect thing to do, and it's quite fun, and you've got like really easy linear progression of tricks and coordination and stuff. And then the ice tubs is obviously, there's so many. I don't know if you've ever tried cold water therapy, but the mental benefit you get from that, and the days that I have a cold plunge in the morning, like I don't need caffeine. I've gone off caffeine. I've literally the last 2 days bought a couple of energy drinks just to play again with caffeine. But I do like cycles of no caffeine, and when I'm doing cold plunges in the morning, it just plunges through my day.
Yeah.
Like I just feel class and like the mental alertness. And so I think I'm gonna go down the route of targeting like work from home entrepreneurs. And so then there's like a more encompassing overall brand. So
I wish we had space for a fucking cold tub, bro.
yeah.
I would, like when you first announced it, because you announced it very recently, I think, like when I knew you.
yeah.
And I was like, because we have a shared garden thing, so it just wouldn't happen. Like Ollie's been told off for putting off like
I mean, my
car cloths out,
Yeah,
like,
out
hanging
the
up
front
on the
to
door and
watch
stuff
them.
before.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
yeah,
well
they
well
can't
annoying.
out here, it looks tacky, you know. So like, there's no chance we can put a tub out there.
Yeah.
Even if we let the whole community use it, like nobody here is going to do it. Like everyone here is like 90 years old.
Yeah,
so.
they'll just die.
But 100%, I would love it. I mean, I set up for cold showers.
Yeah.
And I normally cold shower before workouts.
Yeah, so obviously probably from Rogan saying
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
crazy for all the hormones and just
just anything you can do to naturally warm up and not like chuck yourself like naturally warming up is basically the thing that helps, isn't it? That's the main benefit.
Yeah. That was the transition moment where I was like, and if I was being completely honest, that was like, right, businessman head. I was looking at what was trending at the time. I need to find a product that's got high profit margins so then I can buy more stock for my ropes because I want to make more changes. And so I'm going to need basically like a capital injection.
Right.
And what can I find on the marketplace right now that has massive profit margins and also huge demand? And it was just like, when I was doing my product research, it was the most trending thing at the time in December, and I was like, let me just pull the pin and do this.
The amount of adverts I get on Instagram for cold plunges is
it's
like every other advert is a cold plunge thing.
It's kind of terrifying for me now because I'm already locked in for my next reorder and I'm waiting. And I mean that's a kind of like another I guess segment. In May I like launched everything. So product coming March, I did like a little pre-order, and then because I didn't have enough profit margins beforehand, I'd never really done a massive like Facebook ad campaign, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest. But because this one had such a bigger profit margin, it was my first time like doing proper, like investing like $500 a day in ads. And I was there like, right, okay, let's send this. And then in May, I basically, every time I doubled my ad spend, I doubled my sales. And I was there like, when does this stop?
Yeah.
And then I basically got like carried in this loop, and May was like crazy for me. And then it peaked in the middle of May when I realized I'm going to run out of stock, and then I've got a 3-month turnaround time.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't had this problem before.
Yeah.
Didn't forecast it. And this is the kind of like led me into the segment into obviously trying to fully send YouTube, because I was like, I've got no job now. I'm about to run out of stock, so I just completely cut my ads and then just let like the referrals and trickle ads because I've got like 10 tabs left. I've got 3 months till my stock comes. I've just reinvested all my money into more stock, because that's the bad thing about e-com. I wouldn't do it as like a sole income, because the only way to really make like good money from it is to keep reinvesting profits, reinvest profit, and you snowball it, and you basically don't make money till you exit. And I was like, right, I need to make an income. I need to make some money.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to full send YouTube. And then, in June, that's when I full sent YouTube. And it just like, it was like May, econ blew up. And then June, I started posting. I bought a YouTube course and like fully committed to, right, how do I actually like make this a real income? And then what are my things that I genuinely enjoy that I can then learn for? And this led me into AI and how I can utilize AI to make content to then create like digital businesses. And then I just went down a rabbit hole, and then I found that I had so much excitement I was trying to capture in like a really raw form for the YouTube videos, which I think a lot of the audience related to. And then 2, I was just like, there's so many opportunities, because the digital economy is that if you can get eyeballs on your screen, you can then funnel them down to a product. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many, like, there was like pages blowing up and get like 100,000 followers doing something. And I'd just like reverse engineer how they made it using AI. And then I'd make a video and I'd be like, guys, like this person. And I don't want to end up being that guy who like tells everyone how to make money and then doesn't do it themselves. So I'm still trying to keep my own things going. But because it's something that genuinely excites me, why not learn about it, film it, show other people, and then also document. Also, I've got my own things going on in the background. But yeah, it was like a mental barrier where I was like, okay, I've got no stock. I got 3 months to wait, and I was like, you know, when you're like, okay, like the Rock where you go, I got $5 in my pocket. And he's like, I need to make it.
Make or break now, man.
Well, it's so funny because I haven't had I've never done e-commerce, so I've not had this experience myself. But there's a guy, you've probably heard of him. If not, I probably would have talked to you about him at the airfield. Ryan Daniel Moran.
Yeah.
That book, 12 Months to a Million, he's got?
That's the book I literally read that made me go for the tubs.
Right, what a book, man. What a book. And
mega.
I still follow all his content. He's a great guy. I love his stuff. And his podcast as well. He's got a podcast called The Road to 1 Million that he recently launched.
Right, okay.
And it's basically him recording his one-on-one coaching calls and just posting them for free. Like the amount of value on that podcast is absolutely insane.
I need to watch it,
Yeah, 100%. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, for sure.
But he says in the book that your biggest problem is not going to be lack of sales, it's going to be lack of stock.
Yeah.
And that's literally what happened to you. That's so funny. Back up. But your YouTube, you say that you switched to YouTube and you started that in full send in June.
Yeah.
You did fucking well at that, by the way.
Well, I don't want to take credit here because I genuinely feel like, you know, it's like right place, right time, right content, right trend. And it just blew up. Because obviously I met Chris through skydiving, and then I got you on my 1,000 subscriber special, which was in March. Yeah. And then obviously April I left the Navy, and then May I obviously full sent my ecom brand, and I was only at 1,400, 1,500 subscribers in June. And I was there right, I need to fully commit to this. Like I said, I bought a course, and then I learned actually how to script properly and how to articulate myself in a way that relates best to an audience. And I mean, now we're almost at 17,000 subscribers, and we gained 14,500 in 1 month, in 28 days. Went from YouTube's just a hobby, something I really enjoy, let me just document things I'm trying, to, oh my God, I've got hundreds literally of emails from sponsors trying to do stuff with you, and it's I'm sat there what's happened? Yeah. Completely don't know how to navigate this environment, because I don't know. Now I've obviously got networked with people, and I know certain people in different fields, and I've networked with the guy who was on the final 1,000 subscriber special. Yeah. He's called Mr. Reese, Philip Reese. He's got 300 odd subscribers in the same niche, and so I messaged him, and I was like, how do I respond to a sponsor? And he gave me tips to do, and it was really good. And that's another important thing if you want to try entrepreneurship, just network, reach out to people. You'll never realize the relationships you'll be able to create if you don't just put yourself out there. And he was how do you demand someone to pay money to shout them out? I just feel the audacity that I would require to be you need to pay me to go on my YouTube channel, because I just see it as I'm just Johnny just filming myself stupidly in my lounge doing something dumb.
Yeah, but you're not, man. Like you said, you've got that digital currency. Yeah. Where there's attention, there's money. And
this is the thing, that the one switch, it was one of my videos. I had a sponsor, and it was a really small amount of money. And then I had a referral link where I could track how many sales they got, and they killed it from my video, which then showed me that, right, okay, I'm not scamming people. When you watch a video, whenever I've watched a YouTube video and there's a sponsor, I don't really care. It doesn't ruin the flow for me. If I can then have something that generates money for the sponsor, generates money for me, and then sort of motivates me to create better content for my audience, it's basically a self-sustaining. And I think I had a negative stigma of taking money for someone, and I feel I'm selling out to the audience. But as long as you're not there, buy this cryptocurrency.
You got to make sure that what you're sponsoring is what you genuinely believe in, right?
Yeah,
and something that you want to do.
And it's so easy when I'm trying something. If I'm going to try this product, document it anyway, if they want to sponsor me in a video I was already going to make, it's a no-brainer at that point.
I noticed that actually when Rogan moved to Spotify, the first few episodes had a load of Spotify ads that was Subway and all this bullshit stuff that you're Rogan wouldn't endorse this. What the hell's going on? Now you notice that it's only him doing his own ads. Yeah. So he's obviously gone look, I'll do this, but I'm not doing it with your
weird ads.
Yeah, Huel and Subway and all this stuff. He wants to do it with AG1 and all the other stuff that he has. So yeah, like you say, those ads, as long as they're stuff that you genuinely believe in, that then comes
Yeah.
across to the audience, and the audience are more likely to buy it, and that makes total sense, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's that age-old question of it's not what you know, it's who you know. So as long as, like you say, you network and build those people up, like, that's huge, man. It's huge.
But that,
So you jumped 14,000 in a month?
yeah.
How did you do it?
Give us
What
the
did you do?
secrets, man.
Secrets. So basically,
Turn the cameras off so no one else knows the
yeah.
secrets.
So basically,
and we're back in.
turn my mic up.
This video is sponsored by.
The secret is the researching, the sort of, how do I describe it? How YouTube works. So understand the fundamentals of YouTube. And the biggest way I could break it down to is, well, I'll do two categories, simplify. You've got things that people are searching for, then you've got things that are clickable. So like a step-by-step guide from, I've got a flat tire on a Ford Fiesta, how do I change this? That's a search. And then a Mr. Beast video is the perfect example of browse. He pops up in, it's entertaining. His title doesn't, like, you wouldn't search for that. It would never come up unless you just see his video or you know him. And so it was getting my brain around, okay, Google search has literally a list of the most searched things on YouTube. And I am like, no one knows who I am to click on me to find like a relation to me. So if I come up on browse, no one's gonna click on it. So let me see if I can target search, relate my video title to something that people are searching for. And then it just also happened to be that like this AI craze of making content with like these AI tools, and then half of them, as people like to put in the comments, like, this isn't even AI, there's just like effects that we've had for ages, and people have slapped AI in the startup and made like thousands. But it's basically targeting search as a new YouTuber is huge. And then it's just value. If you can provide like so much free value on something that you think, oh, I shouldn't include this, like just double down on whatever that was, because there's no point holding back. There's a book that I'm rereading at the minute, Sell Like Crazy with Sabri Subi. And he's there like, if you're gonna build a brand, you can give away like all your secrets and you can keep giving them away to people, because either people were never gonna buy from you anyway, and you've added value to them, and potentially your next product, they would have related to the fact that you gave them so much value, they're more likely to buy, or they're going to buy. There's not this thing that if I give them my best secret, they're never going to like buy from me, because they already made their mind up basically. And so I basically use that principle in YouTube in the sense that if I'm showing someone how to make something, I give them a template to like make it even like frictionless for them to follow along with step-by-step instruction. And I know YouTubers there that they will charge people like £5 for that. It's probably like people would pay it, and it's probably a good way of monetizing, but I just think I'm like building it long term. And I think that is what's like helped it grow, where one video, trending, targeting search, and then like encompass like loads of value in your video, and then just, I guess, like personality, just try and be your authentic self.
Well, one of the things you do differently, as far as I can tell, is, you know, when you watch like, I mentioned Beer Hezza earlier. I love Beer Hezza. I know you're a fan of Beer Hezza too.
He's like massive inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But he will keep certain things under wraps on purpose. Like, because most of it, to be fair, is in the fair name of science. Like, if he starts a new e-com business, he doesn't say what that business is or what niche that is, because he doesn't want people then to either flood that website and give his results, like, you know,
skew
anomalies.
The data.
Yeah, skew the data, exactly.
Yeah.
Or obviously, if he's like with his real businesses, he doesn't want to then have loads of people flood the market, because if Beer Hezza thinks it's a good business, everyone's going to think, and then he'll have loads of competition. Whereas you are still like, because you don't necessarily actively have an interest in some of these niches. Like the video I was watching, that you were watching actually, about faceless YouTube channels. Yeah. You were just like, this niche is doing really well right now, you should just go and do this. Yeah. That's what so many people are actually looking for.
Yeah, they just want you to be like, you do this, try this,
direction.
These are the tools, do that, execute it, this is an example, copy them. And I think, that's the hardest point that I'm trying to get past, which is what the YouTuber Mr. Reese said, is that I wanted to do everything that I've tried. And he was there like, realistically, you've only got a certain amount of time. Like, I'm already trying like 4 different things. And he's there like, you can't try everything, because then the things you're actually trying will just fail. And so I was like, right, okay, so if I want to consistently make content like once a week, I'm going to have to combine, so documented things I'm trying, and also I always am watching for opportunities. If I find one, it's something I like genuinely am excited about, I can create a video and show people how to do it. But it's like finding that balance before people start looking at you like, you don't actually try any of this. Like, this is just you making money or showing me how to make money. So it's like, it's finding that balance. But yeah, Be Ahead is like such a massive inspiration. You're probably, if you look at some of my older content, it was like, I've used like DJ Khaled. And I'm like, but again, he's so good at storytelling. And when he doesn't show you stuff, it makes it want to watch it more. Because then it's like you're just looking at this guy who anything he touches turns to gold, sort of thing.
I've sat on his checkout page for his course so many times.
Have you? I think I'm going to buy it.
It's only like 300 as well. Like,
yeah, I know.
He's got totally
like the sweet spot.
Yeah, I know. I will do it. I will 100% buy that one. I think. I'm also going to get a list off you of all the courses you've done, because it sounds like you've done a lot of courses.
I spent probably like 10 grand plus on courses, just because I was like over probably 6 to 8 years, because I've always wanted to do stuff. It's just the older I get, the more I realise that if I don't take action, I'm just going to regret it and still be in the same position. Yeah, for sure. But
well, that's a perfect place to take, because believe it or not, that's been another 25 minutes.
No, actually.
Time flies, man.
It literally flies.
It's mad. This madness of these things.
Hello there, champions. Hey, are you getting married soon? Or do you know somebody that's getting married soon? So outside of this podcast, I am a wedding videographer full-time, and Maven Visuals Wedding Films is my company and also the sponsors of today's podcast. So if you want that guy from that podcast to come and actually film your wedding for you, then all you have to do is visit www.mavenvisualsweddingfilms.com. And if you mention that you're a Two Beasts listener in the consultation, then you will get 10% off whatever package you choose. All right, see you then. Back to the podcast. So in the break there, we just found out that actually you two have a mutual connection, and it's your brother.
Yeah. So.
Mental, by the way.
What a random coincidence.
How you talk about when the world is that small?
Yeah.
That is how small the world is, man. That's crazy.
Crazy.
So we were talking about before the break. We were talking about AI, and you've been exploring AI. Mm-hmm. What's some of the coolest tools that you've found recently that you think are?
So all the things, coolest tool. There's been a couple, in the sense that things that naturally I've thought this is so repetitive, something machine learning could learn and then spit out. Like there's a recent one I've just found where I was going into my editing software, and like the Alex Hormozy style captions, and they're popping up, and then there's an AI tool that's basically just taught like the machine learning to change the colors, exaggerate certain points, and it just does it automatically. And it's just certain things like that really, I don't know, when you just feel like you've just wasted all your time then, it's like repetitive. But the things that I want to go into that I'm way more like excited about, and I haven't ventured there because there's too many projects I'm trying to do, I'm trying to limit myself. But like AI chatbots for your customer service. So there's so many repetitive conversations that you have with customers that I'm either going to need to like get a virtual assistant for, because it's just like at the peak of it, it's just too much trying to deal with everything. But there's so many chatbots that you can literally put in like all your regular, basically you can like give it conversations to study. These are like the common questions, these are the types of answers, and there's like so many like workflows that you can create using AI to just basically learn all the language and then study it, and then we'll just answer for you, which is just like obviously the future is going to go to, isn't it? All these like monotonous, repetitive tasks. You can just, if you can just repeat it every single day, teach the language model everything that you put in, and it will just literally be like you. And input. But some of the cooler ones that are probably like the most exciting for people who haven't tried any AI would be, there's like voice cloners out there. I don't know if you've seen the Drake song that wasn't actually Drake.
Oh yeah, I've seen there was a Kanye West one as well that he did. Was it Kanye West singing Biggie? I think one of Biggie's tracks.
Yeah.
It was like an Instagram reel thing that was basically like they got Kanye to like, or a clone of Kanye, his voice to sing like all of these different songs.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's proper mad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, you can literally go on and like, there's a load of people that were saying when I talked about it in a video, in my next video, because it was so long, I like put a sneaky little 1.1 times on there to just make the video a tiny bit shorter and also more engaging because speed. And people in the comments like, he's cloned his voice, he's no longer doing the I was like, guys, come on. I wouldn't sit there and then mime and then clone my voice to get on the top.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking?
That's an interesting little trick though. So you edited a YouTube video and then you put 1.1 speed on it to
the entire clip, like everything, even the effects, the transitions and everything. So then it would obviously knock like a tenth off the length of the video.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Do you think that would work with podcasts then? Do you think there's a reason? Did it perform better because it was shorter?
I literally just know that certain videos, people, if they're actually following it, they'll just go back, stop it. And now that's why my videos now are like 15 minutes rather than like 30 minutes, just because 90% of the people are there to edutain themselves and 5% are there to actually educate themselves and followers. And then like, yeah, I mean, majority is not even, it's more entertain than edutain, but like it's important to show steps so then people feel like, oh, this is something I could actually follow along to, but not to be too like slow and boring about it because people will just click off. So yeah, it's like the sweet spot. Some videos, there's certain sections where now I literally just full blast through them because I know people just like, if it's repetitive, people just won't watch it because you can see in the analytics like click off. And I'll click it, like you can see the graph and it'll be like retention like 50%, 40%, drop. And I'm like, what's that? And it'll be like, let's jump into step-by-step tutorial. And then they're like, see ya.
That's so funny.
Just people's attention span nowadays is so much shorter, isn't it? They just can't even, that's why we've got shorts and reels and all the rest of it, because people can't like pay attention to stuff for longer than 30 seconds.
Those analytics are really good too, because we use that for the corporate stuff, like for ads and stuff. On Vimeo, you can literally just see the watch time, can't you? And you can see where it drops off. I think they've even implemented that into YouTube. You can see like the most watch part. YouTube. Yeah, well now actually on other people's videos, which is another like insane hack if you're probably another complete topic. But like if you're going on YouTube to find similar videos to create, you can go and watch their peak watch time and be like, okay, people love this information. Let's see if I can find some cool information that's similar to that then like replicate obviously what works well and what people are generally interested about, again, for like product research. But it's So you do a lot. You do a lot, right? You've got your e-commerce businesses that you play around with, and you have your YouTube channel, which you have a strict schedule for.
Yeah.
You also have time to research and develop all these new ideas and explore these different things and script videos and all that kind of stuff. You're taking courses every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What does your schedule look like? Like on a day-to-day basis, what does it look like?
Madness.
It sounds like this, but I go through like massive swings. So right now I'm going back into like another work-oriented sort of focus. But the month before I probably worked maybe like June obviously peaked, everything was crazy and I had all my videos done. And so I kind of just like, I was a bit like in like a state of euphoria / like dopamine / I don't really know how to handle this like huge growth. And then I ended up just like being like, I sound like a dickhead. I was like, right, I don't need to work, I've made it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm done, man, I've made it.
I was like, oh my God, like this is, I was a bit like that. But then you need to sort of ground yourself and be like, right, okay. You need to, I think I saw it on a podcast or something where people was like, you need to create artificial struggle. So then or artificial stress to then create yourself to go back into work flow. But yeah, my schedule, like the last couple of days, I just kind of obviously gym. I bought a walk pad, so I'm trying to get lean. Oh, right. So I like an under desk one, so I can just do some cardio at home. Okay. And I literally just like work until I bust. If I've got projects on, like right now, I've took on a few. I literally just work till like 10, 11. But my housemate literally does like 240 hours, so he's always at his desk just grinding. And so we kind of like bounce off each other, and but like some days I'll literally like do like next to none, but just enough, like the solid like hour and a half work block where I'll get all my activities done, and Yeah, but like May, I was just working flat out, and then have to like sort of reiterate in that the 6 months before I left the Navy, I literally just worked like 7 days a week, like flat, and I barely like saw my friends, my girlfriend or anything, because I just had this like need to leave
had that
and
focus.
have that. Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to be able to like step back and sort of enjoy life a little bit. But also, like, I can see all the analytics for everything, and there's something like when tracking everything, is that like I had momentum from all that like work, and then I sort of started receiving, I guess, the rewards for that hard work, and then you could just see it dropping down. Where obviously I let it all slip where I was chilling. So now I'm like, right,
back to the
30
grind.
days of focus. Let's build a momentum, snowball, because I know I've got like a busy August of things to do. But yeah, like schedule-wise, I think if you're doing something that, one, you genuinely enjoy and like passionate about, I'm starting to learn that like I can have certain things happen in my daily life that doesn't really matter, because I'll just go and work in the evening or like fit it in anywhere. And it's like people say, you can work whenever you want, wherever you want. So as long as you're overseeing, making sure you've got enough money coming in and you're doing your minimal things, I think that's like the dream of entrepreneurship, isn't it?
And I guess a lot of people want to get there because that's kind of what your YouTube videos are about, right? Is how people can get started. So you imagine you're somebody who, kind of like your demographic, I guess.
Yeah.
They're in a 9-to-5, they want to get out of it, they want to do what you did.
Yeah.
How do they do it? How do they do it as far as you're concerned?
So I was actually sat the other day, and it's just the most annoying situation I've ever been in, because I wrote the same email that I was gonna send out to like my newsletter, and one of them took me like 6 hours, and then in the morning I clicked save, and because it's an online email, it refreshed and it was all gone. And then I did exactly the same thing yesterday, but it was only like an hour and a half, because obviously once you've had the idea, I got it down again and it deleted. And again, I clicked save and it was too long. So now I'm never using that to create my emails or create them on Google Docs, but that's like a whole different tangent. But for people who want to start, I think there's like 3 phases that you're in. You're either in that research phase, so I call this like 16-year-old Johnny to 18-year-old Johnny, where there's obviously something inside of you that wants to go ahead and try something different, or whatever it's like outside the norm, or you feel like you need something extra in your life, and therefore you're trying to look for what that solution can be. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends where you look at it, there's so many people with so many different opportunities right now out there. So I think there's like, one, you need to actually start seeing what things are available to you and your skill set, and what would fit around your routine. So if you've got kids and stuff, you can't just like full send and quit and just try stuff. But there's so many different business models that you can apply yourselves to. So my biggest thing would be to have a skill that you can build up in the background that's high value. So I would always pick, now knowing the money that's in it, from trying to hire them, is video editing. Like if you're a little bit creative, you can learn how to do that. Like the amount of people that I've met that are like 16 to 18, obviously doesn't matter what any age range, but like 16 to 18 year olds crushing it with editing, just become so sick that you provide so much value you can charge for what you're worth. And yeah, like have a skill. But the phase 1, yes, like when you're in research phase, you're finding out, and then phase 2 is like you're fucking around a little bit. So I would like say this is like me when I was like 20, and I was like, right, okay, drop shipping, let me try this. Like builds like multiple general stores, and then runs at $5 of ads for 2 days, and then bottles it. And like, I don't want to lose money, I don't know how to do this, I don't have quite enough like conviction in myself. And so if this is you, if you notice yourself in this stage, again, it's about being like, right, what's actually stopping me? Is it that I don't have the confidence, out of the money, or is it just the fact that I just need to like fully commit to this? And then obviously when you realize that you're like, right, okay, the only way I need to build confidence, or I need to like sort of build my knowledge, is by actually just doing it. You need to lose money in business to be able to learn. So like the worst case scenario, you either lose money and you're right back where you are with more knowledge that didn't work, or it works, you build more confidence, and then you just back yourself even more. Yeah. But like you just need to, I think, getting yourself out of that like student mindset and actually applying it, even if you're in a middle stage where you're just trying a little bit. like you'll learn so much, and then you just need to, again, like charge it. Like I'm sure you guys were probably talking about a podcast for a long time about starting it, literally. And then you just like, right, let's just sit down and film it.
Well,
and then boom, you got guests, and then sponsors,
it's true.
Sponsors.
To be fair,
Fuel.
To be fair, we've talked about setting up businesses for a while.
Yeah.
The podcast itself, I've been thinking about podcasts for a while, like in the back of my head. I was like, who could I do a podcast with? You were one of the people I thought might be a good candidate. Like all these people I've met, I've gone, I wonder what a podcast would be like with that person.
Yeah.
And then Ollie brought it up. Like he just suggested out of nowhere. I don't know if you were thinking the same thing or what, but...
Well, I was just sat down here, wouldn't it? Like, whatever, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I was just sat here playing on a PlayStation, and I was just like, why am I not... Like, why have we not done this? And like, I've listened to podcasts for years now, and audiobooks and all the rest of it, and I just thought, like, actually, I've had this thing, and again, same thing as you, I've had this thing, and I was like, why not? Like, why a podcast? Why does a podcast have to be done by someone that's already successful, or already made it doing something else, or why? It doesn't have to be. And I think, I guess kind of Chris Williamson is probably like the closest to that, but he did have a lot of fame from, what was he, like Love Island or some shit like that, I don't know, anyway. But and then now he's obviously up to like 1 million subs or whatever on his podcast. But and I just kind of thought like, well, in terms of a good thing, like a niche that we have, is that like not only are we learning, but the audience are going to learn, right? So it's like, and we're not successful. So I feel like if you haven't got that like fame and success side of things, where people kind of go, do you not already know this? Like, do you not like we don't know anything? Like, you know what I mean, literally nothing. Yeah. So it's like to have different people on and just even to chat. And I think the biggest thing with us is that we've sat down so many times, like whether you're over there or I'm here, and the conversations we've had, you're like, why would people not want to listen to this? You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff we talk about is genuinely like life. Like quite life altering sometimes, you know. So you're like, well, surely people are going to want to listen to this, you know. And especially in today's day and age, now more than ever, where people are turning off mainstream media because they're just like, it's just all bullshit. You know, it's all negative or horrible. So they want that alternative media source that allows them just to like learn things. And you know, I'm constantly sat there going like, I just want to learn. Like I want to talk to loads of people and loads of different people. And that's why I said in episode 1, I was like, just variety, man. Like that's why I don't want to just be like, oh, I just want to be a climbing podcast or a fitness podcast. I want to be like everything, man. Because that's what I love about Rogan's podcast and people like that in particular, is that you can jump on there and scroll through 20 podcasts and they're all like different topics, man, and you can pick and choose whatever you want, you know. So, and that's the beauty of a rare, varied podcast.
And to be honest with you, Johnny, what happened was I used to just say some really inspiring shit sometimes. I used to be like, man, I'm Gandhi. Like, and I was just sick of it not being documented, you know? I was just sick of it. So now when God gives me these thoughts, I can at least have
you can
proof.
now unleash them to an audience. Give them.
You are Mahatma Goggins, basically.
Goggins gone there. But I think you touched on a really crucial point there, in the sense that one, relatability is almost better now than having the status of made it. I think especially for a podcast setting, like people can be sat in, like no one here is anywhere different to anyone at home.
No, we're literally sat in our living room. Like we're not a podcast studio or anything. It's just like, you know.
And if you're just like similar minded to us and you're curious about a topic, you're almost like one of the boys just sat here like, with us, or ladies, or whoever's watching this. And that's the first thing. The second thing I think as well, that people have this like limiting belief that it's like the quote that I really like: if anyone can, then why not you? And I think you see so many people doing stuff who's made it, who you have better skills than, but they just are the ones who took action and put themselves out there. And you don't have to be the best at something, but just starting, being consistent and putting yourself out there, you'll find yourself in a better situation than someone who's 10 times more like valuable than you, like skilled than you, just because you've gone and actually like took the first step.
Put the work in.
And like everyone's got ideas, and some people have like amazing ideas, but you could have the worst idea if you took action. So then therefore that sort of spiraled you to develop it. And like your first podcast is always going to be terrible. And like you'll look, or not even if it wasn't like to the people, but when you look back at it, you'll think, like the only way you learn is through action.
Jonny Shapland's review of our first podcast.
Yeah, that's
One-star review, man.
No, not to like external, but to yourself. You're always sort of like your biggest critic. Like,
we said that. We said it. The first one was always going to be like us just chatting random shit and just being like, you know, if people are going to listen to it, then that's fine.
But it was like really relatable. And you need that because you need that initial. It's like the start of the movie. You don't know who anyone is. Why should I care about them? So you need to have those, and I think it's really important for like hosts to have those occasional ones where it's just you two. So then you like build that like relationship with the host, and then that brings you back. And then when they have entertaining guests, that brings in new viewers, and then you two sort of then they get to know you again, and you kind of have to do like the Gary Vee mindset where you just keep your like fundamentals and then you sort of repeat them, so then new viewers get to know who you are. But I think it's sick. I actually rate like the amount of people that you just hear people like spitball ideas, and then people just do it. Like, props to you guys. Like,
thanks, man.
Because it's sick. Yeah, genuinely, just taking action. And then I would just watch you guys, and I know you've set the goal of 100. You've got 2 of you to keep you accountable, and then people obviously watching this will then see that, and then hopefully that inspires them to just take action, because it's just like a self-sustaining like ball of momentum. When you watch people who aren't like haven't got anything. I mean, you guys got some cameras. But like, there's nothing different. You just decided, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then like, it's actually out there. Like,
it's just a positive thing, isn't it? Yeah. And I agree. I mean, on the notion of that, I think a lot of people worry about starting because of the internet's a pretty negative place sometimes.
Yeah.
We've had a few like odd things. I mean, most of them just been dafties on TikTok, like nameless, faceless dafties.
You just don't even worry about TikTok. That demographic is like 16-year-old children. Like, they just don't. I just post on there and just leave it.
Have you had much in the way of hate comments in your videos?
I've actually been pretty lucky in the sense that like I've always just been mad about the things I wanted to try, and I've always spoke to my mates and stuff about it, and like generally my whole friendship group and like everyone I know is just like so supportive of it. I think it's because it was like such a long time coming that when it came it wasn't a shock. Like I started posting videos of me skipping and stuff on Facebook, YouTube and everything, so like it wasn't just like out of nowhere Jonny Shapland posted a YouTube video. So I think it was quite good. And like anything else, I think, what was it the other day where it's like, if you have a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, you don't know me well to have a problem with me. And I think if like you should like then reverse that in the sense that if you don't know them, like they don't know you, what's the point of even caring about what they have to say, sort of thing.
Yeah, we talked about that on one of the other ones, didn't we? About like friendship groups and inner circles and all that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Huge.
I mean,
I've been so lucky with like my boys in my friendship group, and like the military as well. Like that could have been savage. Like there was a few like YouTuber comments like fitness like workouts, but it was all from like a place of love because it was just banter. But yeah, like there's a couple of boys who did TikTok, and I think the content they were doing. And again, it was like completely different. Like on camera, on my videos, I'm exactly the same. I'm just like maybe I speak a little bit louder, and like try to be a little bit more energetic. But I'm like that normally, and so it's not like a difference. Whereas you got those, and you're like, "What's up, guys?" Like getting sturdy and stuff. And it's like, so I think a lot of people can get like roasted and negative comments for that. But then again, it's like if that's what they want to do, and like they've got the like courage to actually put themselves out there doing it, I've got to respect it from that point of view in the sense that they actually had an idea and they've taken action on it.
Yeah.
What's that? There's a quote that's like nobody that was successal leaves hate comments. Like nobody actually doing stuff is out there leaving like YouTube or it's Instagram or TikTok comments. They're just not doing it. You know what I mean? Because they're out being successful. You know, it's like losers focus on winners, winners focus on winning. That was the Conor McGregor quote I've taken from from quite a while back.
I think the only thing is from that sense is that. Obviously, don't be like completely just ignorant, because if it's something that you're ethically doing wrong,
feedback, man. Like take genuine feedback.
You guys are racist on that podcast. Like, shut up, haters.
You probably want to tune into that
balance between like, is what they're saying like feedback? Is it actually true? Is it, or are they just literally just someone who?
Yeah, I have that in my job all the time. Like I have people that. Because of the way my job is, and like people come in, if they come in for a climbing session and they're already having a shit day, if they then get on the blocks that I've just set, 9 times out of 10 they're probably going to say they're all shit. But it's only because they've got that initial
negative,
terrible day, and then if
just
they
spread it.
Yeah, and especially if they start falling off stuff that they wouldn't normally, and that then negatively impacts them. So then they're like, oh, these blocks are shit. Like why? Like who sets that? Blah blah. Blah. But if they come in on a day that they're super positive, or they've like had a promotion at work or whatever, or, and then they've come in and climbed it, they're like, oh, they're amazing. And I get it all the time when people give me feedback on them, and I can immediately tell when stuff is genuine and when stuff is just like it's just their opinion. You know what I mean? It's like opinions, like I get it, okay, like everyone like, it's like assholes, anyone's got one. So, but the genuine feedback is what you want to listen to. The stuff is actually going to make you better, and you'll know exactly what that is when that comes across, like.
I've got quite what I consider a sophisticated strategy for this kind of stuff, right? I got a strategy, and the strategy is if someone says something negative to me, there's something that hurts my feelings, I will take time to consider, and I'll say, right, do I agree with that comment? And I might need to leave it 24 hours. I might need to take some time over it because initially you're all pet up.
It's emotion, isn't it?
You get defensive, don't you?
Yeah.
If after like 24 hours I think about it and I go, I don't agree. If I agree with that comment, then I rectify it. If I don't agree with that comment, that's it. And the good news about that is you kind of set the precedent then too, like laws, like lawmaking. If then someone else hits you with that comment, you've already thought about it. You don't need to think about it anymore. It's just bish bash bosh. It's written off. That's that. Obviously, if you get like thousands of people start saying it, then
you're like,
you might have made the wrong call.
That's the difference.
But that's where, as a backup, you have what I call my council, which is Ollie, my dad. Like we've talked about this on the podcast before. That group of people, your boys, your people that you can go to and say, hey, someone said this, am I actually like that? And you have a conversation about it, and
they'll give you a genuine answer if they're genuine people.
They'll save you if you've gone off the deep end, you've made a wrong call on whether or not a hate comment was.
I think that's so crucial. That's a good way of doing it. So like filtering systems, and then
like
a flow diagram.
Reinforcement to someone, just in case you're like on this like crazy egotistical.
Because it can happen too.
And then actually, buddy,
chill your boots, mate. You're only on like 100 followers on Instagram.
Which of course has never happened to me. Not once. No one has ever. I've never done anything bad in my life.
No, of course not. No.
So right. I tell you what. Guess what, team? Another 25 minutes.
My God,
so I tell you what. We will wrap it up because it is 11:50. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop it one more time, do one more ad break, and then we can close out properly without rushing.
Yeah, perfect.
What's up, winners? If you're loving this podcast, make sure to drop us a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on our social media channels. That's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. 2 Beast Podcast, the number 2 Beast Podcast. Let's get back to the show.
I'm guessing you're going to try and keep all of your footage as well.
No, we're gonna edit the episodes. Like we'll keep like 5 episodes worth at a time. I mean, at the moment we are sharing it. We've done this is like episode
6 technically, isn't it? I think.
Is it? Oh, 6. So you got loads banked up.
Yeah.
So this you could potentially do like.
And then we got another one later at 7.
Double.
Yeah.
We could do 2 a week.
But it's also good to have a lot in the locker, isn't it?
It's good to have a lot in the locker. Ollie's going away for 3 weeks soon. So probably after Ollie goes away, like if we still have loads in the backlog, then we'll do like Sunday and Wednesday. But I definitely don't want to be in a position where like if we do another guest episode, like this is going to be like 6 weeks time this is coming out.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like too much of a lead time.
Right, I see what you mean. Oh yeah.
Especially if a guest has got something that they want to come on and talk about that's like relevant recently, and it comes out in like 2 months time, you're like, that's not helpful, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the minute, because it's such early stages, it doesn't really matter. But like if you came on here to promote something, then you're fucking stupid anyway.
Literally, yeah. You won't get viewers from that.
You got what, over 100 views on the main podcast?
Yeah,
I think it's out now. Yeah,
and over 100 on Instagram.
Followers on Instagram now. Yeah,
so just ticked over that today.
Yeah. So like, I mean, for your first, that is a good momentum.
Well, this is the last thing I wanted to ask you because obviously you've been dabbling with shorts recently, and shorts is going to be our primary move.
Yeah.
What would you do in our position? What advice would you give us as podcasters to content-wise to keep going now?
To do what you're doing. Yeah, where you're posting shorts like multiple times throughout the day. If you can clip, I know it can. I don't know how good your workflow is, but if you can find a system where you can just literally create like 20 shorts from each podcast, or more if you can, if it's a good podcast.
40 we did from episode 1.
Yeah. So just keep posting, because I have failed to do this on so many levels in the sense that shorts is like advertising, but it's free, and you just literally funnel in to your main content. And the way you've been doing it like so far is literally like you've been going for years. So obviously you're like videography, and I don't know what your sort of background is, whether you have anything to do with that. Or...
Not massive amounts, but I have obviously what I do through work and what we pump out through that business. I know, and I've obviously done a bit in the past and learned from you and all the rest of it.
So that would be another probably useful AI tool. I don't know if you've come across, there's quite a lot where you can create clips and it will analyze the clips, it will try and find the most virality, it gives them scores. There's one called Opus Clip, which I'm not affiliated with or anything, but yeah, Opus Clip, and you basically just drop your YouTube URL in and it will just crop a load of them. You can even put subtitles on there for you automatically, like the whole lot. Obviously I know you've got your branding on there, 2Beasts, and your outro and stuff, but that's
honestly, that stuff we could get rid of too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm especially the outro, because I've noticed that Reels, a lot of them, cycle it up to loop.
Yeah.
And I think that's better for views.
That's what I've been trying to do.
The first one, I was debating about it on the first export batch, because I was thinking, should I have that on or not? And I thought, you know what, for episode 1, it's promoting the launch of the podcast. I'll leave it on for now.
Yeah.
But I think now I'm going to try on these next couple to just knock that off and just try and let the views roll.
Growth. Yeah. I mean, you could do like a mixture, couldn't you? So you could have like some that, again, maybe the clip's going to be like super viral, so let's exaggerate that and keep the end off and just keep it in like a nice loop. And then some that are more like organic clips, so you're just nice to post, something interesting that your audience will watch.
Weirdly, a lot of them now, they like that when they get towards the end, they'll say something that then cuts and then it rolls straight into the replay.
That is the retention hacks. Like,
proper weird.
Shorts. I've been trying to do like a story style, so I'll be like, and that's why, and then it goes back to the intro.
That's really common.
I think when I was sort of studying it on the weekend, it's a lot of people literally chop the first, like the best part of their reel, and they'll put it at the start, and then it will like then transition, and you get to watch that bit again, and then it will come back.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That caught me today with a Robert Kiyosaki, that interview where he kicks off with that guy. He's like, I'm going to walk out this interview or whatever.
Yeah.
But they cut it so well that I almost didn't even realise where the stitch was. And I was like, I have seen this already. I don't need to watch this again. But yeah, it can definitely drag you in twice.
For sure. Or more. Yeah.
I think most people get lots of reel views out of me when I look at reels on the toilet, and then during the wiping process, whoever that lucky dip is, like they just get fucking views.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because I take time, so that just whatever that reel is, especially if it's like a 5-second reel or whatever.
They got like half a roll.
It's GG.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they got half a toilet roll's worth of time to be able to get as many views as possible.
I think the biggest thing for you will be to like just trial and error for like everything. Trial and error, shorter clips, trial and error, longer ones, especially on TikTok. I know they're massively pushing their new 1 minute plus feature. So if you can do like slightly longer bits of like section, and you can obviously clip between multiple people talking, that's going to be your best bet for like finding what works for you. But there's so many little hacks. There's like post something a little bit controversial of like a question, or just play ignorant to something, and then people they're like, that's not right, sort of thing. But it depends like how unethical you want to go to try and use retention to grow your platform.
You did one where you said my
husband's boyfriend,
husband's
girlfriend,
girlfriend. Yeah.
That's it. That. But I think that was something that I then realised. One of my mates actually pulled me up on it, and he was there like, Johnny, I don't think that's professional for a brand.
Right.
If you're like selling like a drop shipping product that you're literally just gonna churn it out until there's like people don't care about it anymore, then drop it, then I wouldn't. It doesn't look good for like, you don't see like Apple or anyone doing those style of like cheap engagement. So that was something that
sell your soul kind of deal.
But you can take ways of that, like where you see people who you just know they're going to be stirring to get engagement.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the Adam22 guy on Twitter. No. It's been crazy. And he's like married to like a OnlyFans model, and she's like first time done a scene with Jason Love, like a massive black guy. And it was like he's basically been getting so many like cuck hate. And then the other day I realised he's literally they're both obviously in on it. They're feeding into it as like marketing. Yeah. And it's like, again, you just post something controversial, but then he's like selling his soul because like he's lost respect on that forever. Jeez. But yeah,
I don't think I would cuck for any amount of money, but I don't know if I could do that. That sucks.
I guess they're just like porn stars in that scene, so like they're always doing those sort of things. Like he sleeps with other women, like for their jobs,
I suppose.
But and it happens all the time, like with those couples. But they've just orchestrated in the way that they've made it seem like they've like ruined their sort of purity, and then that's attracted loads of hate. But then like I'm sure when they released the clip, it went crazy. And it was something that in their culture is just like everyone does.
Yeah.
But they made
all
it like
publicity is good publicity or whatever. Yeah, it's
all the same like mascot like Jake Paul, who literally just uses negative press to then sell. And then everyone realizes actually this is just a game, and then we've been finessed.
It is. Yeah, Conor McGregor is another one of those, I think.
Yeah, literally. You learn how to like finesse the system, play the game. Yeah, well, like Logan Paul with his prime, getting his fans to throw empty bottles at him to make it look like they hated him in one of his tours when he released. Did you see that? No. So he was there like, right guys, I want you to throw empty bottles at us to make it look like you hate us. And he was there like, make sure they're empty. And then obviously just as they're leaving, there's like loads of empty bottles. And then you get that one clip, and then news medias, everyone's there like, these fans hated Logan and KSI, because unfortunately, everyone out there hates negativity. Loves negativity and feeds off of it. Yeah. But like, if they had like everyone cheering, it wouldn't obviously have all those news outlets, because they want to be like, Logan Paul's hated in Norway or wherever that was that they did their launch. Yeah. But yeah, so getting that like mindset of all your short clips.
I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to having to be hated for a while just for fucking sake of views.
I don't think you will with your format, but it's just like the ways you can like put forward a piece of content. You can, especially in TikTok, because I feel like it's less personal on TikTok. It just goes out into the masses. You can trial out different versions of things and different even captions, just to see. Or like even like the title, you know, some people leave like a title on screen, and so they've edited it on that, so then that's the hook, and you don't even need to say a hook, especially with podcasts. Yeah. Leave that, and then the people want to like see the answer for that title.
That's generally what I've been doing with the TikTok stuff, is just putting like a really kind of like broad statement about what it roughly is on the thing.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And then just, you know, I actually only just learned today that you can edit and drag it through, otherwise it's just been staying on the entire clip before. But
you can just for the intro,
this is just a small thing.
But again, it's still talking about that sort of taking action. It doesn't have to be the finished product, and then you just learn along the way.
Well, we were saying when you were up to the toilet during the break that we think this is by far the best one we've done yet. So thank you.
Super good, man. Most appreciated.
I don't know, like, for what it's worth, this could go viral, and obviously people could watch this in retrospect in a few years. So is there anything you'd like to shout out right now on here? If you do, feel free, go ahead.
Subscribe to my YouTube.
Absolutely.
Plug it, man. Plug it.
If you want to follow, I'm literally just I'm basically spending this next year and a bit to just fully pursue everything entrepreneurship and all my goals. And I'll be trying to document everything. So if you want to follow me or follow my journey, then it's Jonny Shapland on basically all social media platforms. And if you are in that research phase of people where you really have decided you want to make a change, I have just started Shappers University, and it's going to be like a free, until it gets like completely overrun, but it's like a free community where I'm going to be hosting like weekly calls, and basically I'm trying to build like momentum within like my little crew, and just try and help as many of you as possible, and then hopefully then we'll have people sort of become successful, or at least have some success that then can impart the knowledge, and it's like self-sustaining. And then
what were your other two businesses as well that you've got? So you've got the skipping.
So we've got Shred Rope, and then my obviously Shred Recovery Tubs. Yeah. And obviously and then the YouTube channel. Yeah. But
And for the people that comment on Johnny's YouTube channel, we can confirm now that he's not AI. This is true. He's not a robot from that Will Smith movie. He is genuinely real, we think.
Or is he?
Or is it? Now that's a question.
Also, I want to do a little challenge. I'll put this in my community tab. So if you're a hardcore Jonny Shapland fan, I'll come over here and comment "Shappers sent me."
Yeah,
we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see how many of you. Absolutely. I might do something special for the guys who comment. So
dope.
Bring in some views. Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. What a fucking episode. What an episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Two Beast podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast on whatever your preferred platform is. We'll see you next time. All the best.